When Don and Brenda Herbert stopped at a churchyard sale one Saturday in October of 2014, they didn't know it would take them on a journey that would save 2 lives. It started when Don heard music coming from inside the church.
For me, being a gospel singer, that was just like, saying, come on,
There he met Pastor Tim Jones, who shared Don's love for gospel music. Don told him about his singing quartet.
He got ready to walk off, and I said, we're having a revival. I said, would you possibly consider coming and singing it?
I went out yard selling with my wife, wasn't expecting for me to find anything really, and I come out with a date for the group to sing.
But there was something Don didn't share with his new friend. 6 months earlier, he had a liver transplant after suffering with chronic illness for 12 years. The transplant was successful, but his kidneys started failing, and he needed another transplant. Don didn't seem too worried.
I had a strong faith that God was going to take care of me no matter what happened.
Belinda's faith, however, was quickly eroding and had been for years.
I felt alone. I was more depressed. I was more discouraged than Don ever felt. He had that faith.
2 weeks later, she realized she could no longer bear the weight on her own.
I said, Lord, you told me that you wouldn't give me any more than I could handle. And he said, well, that's not really what I said. Because if you could always handle the things, why would you ever need me? So you need to just release it. Give me your burdens. I'll carry them. And I did.
The next day, Don went for a checkup at Duke Medical Center. There, doctors discovered blockages in Don's heart, and he needed surgery. But his weakened kidneys wouldn't survive the procedure, and Don would have to go on dialysis until he found a donor, which could take 5 to 7 years.
I said, wow, I can't believe that God's brought me through this major transplant, and now here I am facing something like this.
Later, Belinda sent out a desperate plea on Facebook.
The Lord spoke to me and he said, put it on Facebook, put it out there, put it on social media, ask somebody. If you don't ask, you don't receive. It is so hard to ask something so tremendous and so humbling, but I want the man that I love to live a long life. I want to grow old with him by my side. Don has over 500 friends on Facebook, and I thought surely somebody will see this, somebody.
That person was Pastor Tim. By then, he and Don had become friends on Facebook.
The thing that really tugged at my heart was on down in the post, she said, I love him, we've been together this long, he's my best friend, and I can't imagine going through my life without my best friend by my side. And I remember I got tears in my eyes and I thought, wow, what a thing to put on Facebook.
Tim called Belinda right away.
I told Belinda, I said, I'm not calling you to be a hero or to give you any false hope, but I believe that God is showing me something and I would like to try to help you in some way. And I said, even up to, and then I just kind of let it slip and said, even up to possibly being the kidney donor.
He was the first one that even answered the post that he would be the one. Because if God told him, how could it not be so?
The two families talked about it. Then, after much prayer, Tim decided to donate his kidney to his new friend.
God says, hey, there's a plan. I've got a plan for you. And you say you have faith in me, then step out on your faith and let me do the rest. And I never doubted.
I said, wow, this gentleman here, and I was thinking about giving me a kidney, and I just met him, a couple of weeks ago. I said, wow, God's pretty awesome, but is this really for real,
Still, there was only a 1 in 20,000 chance of Tim being a match. After weeks of exhaustive testing, the results came back.
Mr. Jones, I got great news. She goes, you are a direct match for Don Herbert. And I was like, wow, and I remember calling and they were just off the charts happy, and she was crying. And so at that point, it was just a matter of when are we going to schedule the surgery?
Doctors at Duke Medical Center first performed a heart catheterization on Don. Then, a week later, on March 9, 2015, the two men went into surgery. The transplant was a success. But there was another life saved that day. While doctors were operating on Tim, they discovered something that, undetected, would have been fatal.
They said, wow, what an amazing story. They said, you had an aneurysm, which did not affect the kidney whatsoever. But if it would have stayed in my body, it could have ruptured and, it could have killed me.
Within a couple of days, news of the perfect match was widespread. Today, Don and Tim are doing great. They often minister together to share their story of God's goodness and, of course, their love for gospel music.
If anybody can doubt this story, I said this goes to show who God is. And this is why that we're supposed to obey God.
I'm the one that benefited from this. Don got the kidney, but I got the Lord.
I stood back and just in awe of how God can work, with doing something like this, how he directed me to a yard sale on a Saturday to meet a pastor that would be willing to give me a kidney and not only be a blood type match, but everything. He was a perfect match.